Welcome to What? You Haven't Seen That? With your host, Josh and Charik. And today's movie is The Goonies with my guest, Chris Markowski. Hey Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Joe?
I'm good. So we just stopped and watched this movie actually before recording tonight, and it's been a while. And before we even begin this was a fun one.
It was fun.
All right, so Chris, what is your movie background and or your preferences on movies, real quick?
Gotcha. So, to be honest, I think I might be on the show a lot because there's a lot of movies that I think people should have seen that I haven't.
Well,
I didn't see Jaws until like a year and a half ago.
you can't be on it.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, that's fine.
My background, my preference is, I like dramas.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I like a good story. I'm not crazy about like action movies really or anything like that. That's me.
Okay,
That's
cool,
me.
cool, good to know. So, why the Goonies as the one you were gonna choose? Because now, I mean, this was episode 3 for me, and loosely I've only done Steven Spielberg movies.
Yeah. What is
either
this, the Steven Spielberg podcast?
or yeah, casting with Steven. But it's either produced or directed so far, so it's funny that you picked this one, and it's still a really great time. So, what were your preconceived notions of the Goonies? And I mean, like the other ones I've done in a lot of movies on this podcast, it is ingrained in the pop culture to begin with.
Yeah.
So where was your frame of reference and of Goonies before even seeing this?
Sure. So when you first talked to me about the podcast, I was, of course, very excited, obviously. But so I was thinking of what movies could I do? There's a lot out there that I feel like I should have seen that I haven't. This was the one that really just kind of stuck out in my mind as far as people actually saying to me, "What? You've never seen that?"
Yeah.
This was the movie for me, and I can think of numerous times where people have said that. It happened to me recently.
Who was urging you to that recently?
A buddy of mine named Evan. He said to me probably that exact thing. What? You've never seen that? And I was just like, nope. I just have never gotten the chance. I'm aware of it. I know about Sloth. I know about the Truffle Shuffle.
Yeah.
I know about I know of some things about it, but I've just never gotten to see it.
All right. So let's just dive right into it then. I had seen this movie when I was young, but it wasn't one that like stuck too much.
Yeah.
So I think I watched it maybe once since I was 8, 12, whatever you want to say. So this was a newer experience for me to watch also, where I was like, I remember that, but this movie is so much fun.
It was a really good time,
and
like,
I was
we
not
were fucking laughing.
I was not
laughing.
Yeah, and I was not expecting that because I think the last time I tried to watch it, I was like, I'm bored, or like I was maybe hungover, or I was like whatever, and I didn't follow through.
It was on like
it's probably on TNT.
I was thinking TNT
because it's always on TNT. We turn it on TV right now. TNT Goonies.
Yeah.
But I'll sit down and watch it now. But was it just me, or was this movie start very heavily, like almost in its talking and its language, like really like dirty and not a kid's movie, and then it just kind of like drops off, like that, like dirtiness, like it
no, absolutely, seriously,
it's like halfway through they were like, oh, this is a kid's movie, let's rein it in.
Yeah, and I think too, it was like that. This sort of like '80s film was like, oh, like these kids want to hear like some real dirty shit, like.
Well, I don't even know if in like the '80s, I'm not, we weren't alive in the '80s, but
yeah.
It was even thought as the kids want to hear.
We've seen '80s movies.
Yeah, I don't even think it's thought as the kids want to hear '80s dirty shit. That's just how they were filmed and talked,
Yeah.
and was not deemed as a.
That's how you write a kid's movie. That's how you hook them or something.
And I'll say that is what is missing from like a kids movie today. A kids movie today is more of like.
It's super pure.
It's
now.
pure, or it's like It's just innuendoed.
It's
if
stuff
not,
for the adults.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good distinction.
I
actually wrote.
mean, your notes look like you're trying to solve the Ark of the Covenant.
I was trying, man.
Your beautiful mind scribbling on the window on my windows while we were watching this.
I really fucking went after it, man.
But no, I love it.
I wrote down, like, I feel like this era of like kids films was just like the pinnacle of like harmless shit talk.
Well, yeah, it's
100%. Between the kids.
It's an adventure.
Yeah.
It all has that. I don't know if you're familiar with like the.
Well, like Corey Feldman being like, "Hey, you butthead," or something. Yeah,
he said
like
shit
that.
a lot,
Of
and like, which would never. Today, I think that gets you a PG-13 rating like that.
Yeah.
PG-13 rating.
This was PG, right?
This was PG. There's not much in it that is out of date.
Yeah.
And I was actually expecting it because of the last time I had watched it to feel so out of date.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. And I think because we're mostly in a cave, and which is every mini golf course.
100%, dude. I was thinking, like, towards the end of the film, I was like, wow, this whole thing happened in this like shitty like cave set.
Yeah.
You know? And for me going in, for some reason I just didn't understand like this was a fantasy. You know, I had, you know, you were talking about preconceived notions before. Like, I didn't realize it was a fantasy.
It's...
You know, I thought Sloth was with us the whole time.
Oh, no. I mean, I think what I've noticed in this... We gotta talk about Sloth. Mm-hmm. I think what I noticed in this, though, is... Because I kind of have the same, like, rose-colored glasses memory of that. Of, like, oh, it's throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
But every moment they use them in is those moments that became memorable. So it's so peppered in, and it. Yeah. I can't think of one thing with like Sloth in it. Mm-hmm. That's not something I've seen somewhere else referenced in pop culture, Family Guy, or thought of like
absolutely
like the hey you guys. I mean,
because he was kind of sparse in it somewhat. Yeah. And for him, I thought he was the movie or something.
Well, I think that credits you have a really good filmmaker making the movie in Richard Donner of Superman fame, and you also have Spielberg directing it, and he wrote it.
Sure.
And I know in my last podcast I talked about the pacing of a Spielberg movie. Obviously, he didn't make it, but he wrote it, or the story. So that crew really knows how to structure a story at this point in 1985.
Yeah.
And it shows.
Sure, absolutely. Can I say the most memorable parts for me were really Data? I fucking love Data.
Oh, Data's great. I always loved Data as a kid because he had all these gadgets, and one of the things that are really missing from movies today are gadgets aren't gadgets, they're technology on your phone, which aren't impressive.
I like that.
That's why futuristic things don't look as futuristic. But Data
built that shit.
Yeah, Data it's the hardware and the engineering of it. And today it would have been an app on his phone that triggered the robbers' apps to the Vitelli's apps to explode or something.
Yeah. That's true. That like if it was made today, it would be that. He'd be the tech kid. That's a really
his name is Data.
He'd be the iPhone app kid.
Yeah, and he wouldn't be Data and everything, and it'd be like a little more PC in the sense of like they'd be afraid to call him Data and just make these references. They'd just like play with it.
Oh, so do you know, was that a real or a fake accent?
Probably a fake one.
His name was really Japanese in the credits. Though.
Maybe it's a real one. I don't know. That's good to look up.
Yeah. So when he enters the film, okay, the mom comes in, she sees the doors busted, and she's like, "Oh, Data must be here." Like, does he do that every fucking day? I think he does that.
I think Data lives across from...
He does, but does he bust into the door every day?
I think he slides down the electrical lines every day, and it's usually open. They probably went through a few doors.
They've gone through a few doors. Absolutely.
The mom, though... hated immigrants because
she did.
She had the Hispanic like cleaning lady, whoever they had hired, come in.
Very disrespectful.
Yeah, she was like, she's
the help.
She had Mouth, who I'm assuming that mom knows, but she paid attention to everything.
Why did Mouth know Spanish?
She knows Corey Feldman is probably a little jerk off. But she's like, yeah, great, okay. And he's messing with
she would have known by
yeah, she would have known.
Jerk.
She goes to Daddy. She goes, wait, what's your name? Like as if she said it earlier but doesn't remember it later. Speaking of the mom, we didn't even get to Samwise and Thanos yet. AKA
holy shit.
AKA Josh Brolin and Sean Austin, Mikey and Bran. I think they had a good brother relationship.
No, they really did, and I appreciate it. I wanted to just skip way fucking forward real quick. When Mikey gets to One-Eyed Willie?
One-Eyed
right?
Willie, yeah.
I said, oh, he looks like Samwise, and you say, he is, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
So, yeah.
Yeah, it clicked right then, and we're looking at him the whole fucking movie, you know?
Yeah, I mean...
I thought Brolin was, like, the coolest older brother.
He was. I mean, his shorts out of his sweatpants.
Shorts over sweatpants? I'm going to start wearing shorts over sweatpants. What a look. Really fucking cool, man.
Really. No, but he was cool. He was cool. I think they played him just right. Even with the girl, even with Andy, they did play him as like, oh, I'm just a bro.
I thought Brolin was the best actor in this.
Oh, he is. He is.
There were times when I thought that the kid, I mean, they're kid actors, but there were times when I felt like in the attic scene, where I felt like it was just kind of like it's just like kids babbling. They just they're reading their lines, you know, and I get it, but
yeah. I mean, I could work past
liked when they went inside. Mikey's on the porch. Brolin goes inside, comes out the back door, and they have a brotherly moment.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm a tough guy. You're just my little bro. We need to kind of hide this brotherly. I thought that was really cute, honestly.
It was.
It was. Back to the mom real quick.
Yes.
You instantly hate her.
How so?
She's just that like controlling mom. It's just like that instant like trope of like the aloof mother who's like still trying to maintain control over the kids.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, the backdrop of this movie, there's a lot going on. So I didn't think that heavy into her, but I see what you're saying of like they're all of them are losing their home by the shore for condos.
I got that way fucking far into the movie too.
And I mean it's devastating, and it sounds like just because someone's rich and the town and the homes can't buy out or their property anymore. Who knew Astoria in Oregon was such a hot commodity?
Dude, who knew, man? Thinking through it when they we're on the bike ride in the beginning and shit. I was like, dude, I wish I grew up in Oregon as a young child. This is like beautiful.
Yeah,
the seascapes and shit. That's amazing.
Yeah, not Stephen King as their dad.
Yeah, it might have been Stephen King who played their dad. I think it was.
It was, but it's weird. His role's weird, and we're jumping around everywhere. They show him for like a brief second, but it's like when they're brazing through town, and you just think he's just a guy.
Yeah.
And then he shows up
kind of like the Stan Lee effect.
Yeah, and they show up at the end, and he's the most prominent. They're like
bow tie.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed the humor and the dynamic of the Vitellis, the Vitelli family.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, they were doing it with next to Mama, who also was Throw Mama from a Train. They were doing Joey Pants and the other guy. We're doing the Bugs Bunny.
Robert Davi?
Yeah, they were doing the Bugs Bunny, the two like dumb brother, smart brother, crime guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were doing that the whole time, but it worked really well.
Absolutely.
They were fighting with, and they're the weird quirks of the singing at opera, and it was
No,
fun.
you're right, dude. They were very fucking Looney Tunes.
Yeah, they were
That's
Looney
a good
Tunes,
point,
and that was really like I wanted to weirdly watch more of them at some points.
No, absolutely. There were times where I just kind of felt like they were like off in their own movie, in a way,
Yeah.
And I liked how you know, it was kind of like, I guess like realistic or something. Like they knew they couldn't like shoot the kids. Like, you know, it's a fantasy, but like they weren't gonna shoot the kids.
But they were shooting at them.
Yeah, they were warning shots.
One got close to little Samwise's hand.
Okay. Let's go back to the other member of this family real quick. The mom, female Sam Kinison.
Sam Kinison. Oh yeah, she looks just like Sam Kinison.
110%.
Yeah.
Fucking beret, come on. That was my first thought.
Yeah.
Let's go all the way back. What kind of fucking jail was that? Was that a bank or a jail?
It looked like it was like a county jail. Like he was just being held there for like the crime was committed 10 minutes ago, and they were like, "All right, we'll put you here."
The Astoria Municipal Jail.
Yeah,
Not even they torch the place. Why'd they just put a perimeter or a fire? Why didn't they torch the place? I don't get it.
It's a kids movie. That's I think a lot of things coming down to, and especially what I do like about these 80s films and past and these kids movies is actually that we're not waiting on these answers and logicalness of some stuff. Yeah. And it just makes the thing flow and add for the humor moment.
I went into it kind of without that, and then I was like, cool, I'm on board.
Yeah.
You know?
Like you have, and what's really helping that come across, which I've been noticing more and more, especially doing this podcast, is the scores, especially in these 80s movies, they're very prominent. And they add so much to the scenes, which I don't think a score is so focused on in today's film. Mm-hmm. It's more about your spectacle. But it's so important to have that score.
Absolutely. You mean the score that they stole from Neverending Story?
It was very similar.
It sounded just like it.
It was fun. I mean, you had the Cyndi Lauper song.
That was fun. I appreciated that. It was like, was there a point while the first Cyndi Lauper song, when it was still playing, where you hear someone yell "Goonies" like as part of the song?
Yes.
What the?
I think it was just
that?
I think that was just starting the.
That was a real like 80s.
Yeah, it was just starting the Goonies like song they made for the movie, and then they showed that they played that. What I noticed, speaking of the Cyndi Lauper, is this movie was so self-referential to the people behind it.
I was catching a little bit of that, yeah.
So, Bran is watching a Cyndi Lauper music video. Mm-hmm. Cyndi Lauper sings a song. Mm-hmm. But Steven Spielberg produces the film. They make a reference to Gremlins, which he also produced.
I caught that one, yep.
They make a reference to Indiana Jones, which I think one of the criminals says, like, something. He says the name Indiana Jones.
Well, the whole fucking first booby trap scene was very Indiana Jones.
Yes, and then...
Now, I've never seen Indiana Jones.
That's fine. Listen to my last episode. And then Richard Donner directed Superman. Mm. Sloth is wearing a Superman shirt, but when he rips it off, they play that Superman's very iconic score, like, to, you know, and the movie, it's, in a weird way, it's meta in that sense. It's not just referencing.
So meta.
But those are fun things to really notice on a rewatch.
Yeah.
So I have two notes in here that are funny, because while watching it, I'm going, the Vertellis should, when they kidnap Chunk, should just adopt Chunk, because it's adorable, them interaction. They seem like they'd have great adventures running
around. They were like loving hearing him bear it all about his they were getting a kick out of it.
He was going through therapy. Yes, just let out your feelings.
Yeah, man.
But that is, if you look at my notepad, they're circled.
Yeah, so wait, real quick, Robert Davi, right? I was trying to get, I guess, like one of the most recent movies I've seen him in, because he's been in so much shit.
But it doesn't stand out like Joey Pants.
Yeah, he's kind of like background.
Yeah,
right?
like
fucking the FBI agent in Die Hard. That was the one that was sticking out for me.
And that's within this time frame.
Yeah.
You know, like this 85, so like 4 years later. So I have that Vertelli circled.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
My last thing I have circled, which leaves us to the and I wrote down adoption, and that is very early on.
Yeah.
Is Sloth loves Chunk.
Oh my fucking god, dude. I lost it at the end when Chunk professes his love for Sloth.
No. You're gonna live with us now. The Vertellis get arrested. they believe the kids. They don't take Sloth in or the police, and they say like, all right, like clearly you have like mental disabilities, and we're gonna take care of you. Nope, they just like Sloth and Chunk are just
they have a moment,
arm in arm.
They have a moment.
Sweeping
Music swells.
music.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's I love you, Sloth.
It says I love you, Sloth.
And but he look, you're gonna live with me now, as if I've already discussed with my mom. We have the bed set up. We're gonna be brothers.
We have a place for you.
Yeah,
like in the garage or something.
No, I hope they live together. Actually, fuck the leads of this movie because they're not as interesting as the side characters as Data, Sloth, Chunk.
Oh, absolutely.
They're not. They're fun.
No. Mikey, I questioned his motivation throughout.
Yeah.
I was like...
Oh, his motivation, he was hanging on. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No.
He was hanging on, and I wrote this down, to this adventure because they were going to move.
Yeah.
That's it.
But he didn't even want to get into this whole thing. They start going in the attic, and he's like, no, guys, you can't go up there, blah, blah, blah. And does the fucking asthma thing.
Yeah.
And then gets up there, and then he's the one who calls Chunk over to hold the picture with the map.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, he can count down.
That was a fun
breaks.
scene.
It was fun. But, like, he just completely abandons his concern about being in the attic. Like, there was... I saw no motivation there.
Movies like this are why we get Minions spin-offs, because the side characters are so much fun.
True. Chunk was literally the vehicle.
Oh yeah,
for the plot.
He
to
sets
move forward.
this so in motion.
Every fucking.
He's the
thing.
one who gets them, even the Vitellis, to follow them down into.
Literally, I wrote, if Chunk did not knock over that old article, there would have been literally no movie. That old newspaper article.
I love that note.
Mr. Copperpot, Dr. Copperpot. Wait, I had a question about him too.
I had a question.
Why the fuck did he die in there?
Wait.
The kids can get through, but he dies in there?
Early on, like not at like the.
Yeah, it was like halfway through.
Why was that newspaper framed? Is what I more want to know.
Good question. Like, when they're underground and they're rattling the pipes and it's like destroying the country club. I get it's like you want to destroy the country club and have that thing happening because that's going to take their houses, but it's like, where the fuck were they underneath the town?
That scene is what I'd actually call.
It was the weakest link.
It is weak. It is a weak scene. But it's the cartooniest scene.
It was.
Like, the pirate ship and all. But that, weirdly, in this world, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The pipes and all of that, I could do without. They go up and down and this and that.
It was the most cartoonish.
And
absolutely.
The shower head, the handles pop right out, which actually doesn't make any sense.
I'm going to be honest, if there was one point where this movie was losing me, that was the point.
And that's
honestly.
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It picks up.
It absolutely did. Something that I kind of got to at the end of the film was the fact that we were with them the whole time through this adventure. Okay, like, how does it daytime now? I literally feel like they were in that cave.
I think
like
they skipped some scenes. I think if I were to cut a little out, I think they were left in the wishing well probably.
They were in there. That's fair.
Time.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Well, the wishing well was when I realized that the whole fucking neighborhood was at stake and not just the house.
Yeah.
Why did Data sometimes refer to himself in the third person, but only sometimes?
Because he's Data.
Because he's Data. I guess that's as fair a reason as anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we are in the wishing well, okay, when Corey Feldman finds his wish, goes into that insane little dramatic moment, and then just dives into the pool, I fucking lost it. Honestly, I feel like that's when the movie grabbed me.
He gives this in that scene. He gives this like this almost speech, like,
it was so intense.
This was my wish.
Was that your coin?
I get the metaphor.
Sure.
But then instead of like them having like a set of like coins that he could just like throw into his pocket to be like, yeah, I'm getting money, because clearly these kids are starved for money, and I get his wish is not to move. No, he dives into this pool comedically.
But like what?
No, that's what I mean. It's not comedic, but it's comedic to me.
Yeah.
That was.
What was with the Rube Goldberg obsession? We didn't talk about that at all, and it was like
There was
a
only-
big part of this movie.
It was, and there was only one. There was only one part in this movie that I thought it was unnecessary because it actually doesn't add anything to the movie.
Yeah.
It was the first Rube Goldberg machine
Opening the
door,
gate, right?
You know, they make Chunk do the shuffle shuffle.
Yeah.
And then they say, fine, and he throws a thing. Instead of literally like walking 40 feet,
Yeah.
opening the door, they go take a thing that I think took a lot longer. I'm going, wait, they have to re-blow up that balloon.
Yeah, it's like there's a
The
chicken
reset.
involved. Like,
Yeah.
does mom and dad have to do this fucking Rube Goldberg?
So
was it like
maybe Dada built it.
probably.
Maybe Dada built it.
My thing was like, was this their way of saying, oh, get ready for a fuckload of Rube Goldbergs?
Maybe, but what I question about it, why it's just so unnecessary, is they never like make a Rube Goldberg in the cave.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just booby.
Yeah,
There's booby.
that's a good point.
There's
Like,
booby traps set up, which would make sense because they're pirates and it's an adventure, and this is kind of coming off the heels of the Indiana Jones films and that whole like adventure. That all makes so much sense that the booby traps, which are Rube Goldberg machines, this was one they had in their house. I think it's more of like an 80s thing of like, hey, this is wacky and fun.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, sure. But you know, when they're in the cave, like Dada goes, "Oh, I'm gonna build a booby trap." He never builds it. They don't get to it. You know, it's like
No, he does. He does.
Wait, what was it?
The payoff's later, but it's nothing. It's like he puts like poppers around. It's when the Vitellis are walking around and just little like sparks flying at their feet.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, it might have.
But you're right though. It's like the way that like how much these were involved in the film. It's like you think that they're going to like defeat the villains with some elaborate Rube Goldberg they set up at the end or something. You know, that's a good call out.
So,
I don't know, man. Anything else there?
no, I mean, we covered a lot of base ground. I think I cut out most of what I need to say about this movie. I will say it was just so much fun. So this is just formality at this point, but are you happy you had seen this movie?
I'm definitely happy I watched this movie.
And would you watch this movie again?
I don't know if I'd watch it again. I would watch it again maybe with someone who hasn't seen it.
Okay.
So I could just kind of like laugh at it with them
Yeah.
a little bit. Like I found this movie, it was kind of like it was kind of like laughable, you know, like you're laughing at it and with it. Like there were some scenes that were genuinely funny.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the kiss scene was like really funny.
Oh, that's
It was
a good
cute.
scene.
It was funny. It was
That's a good. We didn't talk about that scene. I mean,
yeah.
That was a fun.
The nerdy friend like is a really fun part of that, and she's like, "Oh, did you notice something weird?"
She's a nice side character.
Yeah, like that was a genuinely funny scene. There were other parts that were like really just like you're laughing at this movie, like the fucking ending scene with Chunk and Sloth. And maybe that was supposed to be intentionally funny. I don't know.
I think a lot of the Chunk and Sloth stuff were meant to be funny. There was
Why did
definitely
they get a Buddy spinoff?
I'm glad they did it. But okay, I like that answer a lot. Actually, I think I'd watch it again, but not like just throwing on it a Saturday night. I think maybe like I'm hungover and it's on TNT.
Yeah, if it's on, I'll put it on and just sleep or something.
So, but great.
Anything else?
Anything you want to plug for the fine folks, or?
Yeah, I have a band called Stories. You can check them out.
It's a wonderful band. It's fantastic.
Appreciate it. You can check us out.
Put the link in below.
Yeah, do it. Storiesmyfathertold.bandcamp.com. At Storiesmyfathertold on Instagram. You can check out Crust. That's my buddy Bob's band.
Okay,
my
great,
keyboards
cool.
band,
Plug
Crust.
for some fun people. They're all a good band.
Official Crust. You can check them out. Other than that, that's about it.
And you could find me at Chindango on Twitter, and our links will be in the below. All right. Have a good night.
Cool. Thank you.